Have you ever wondered why certain things keep repeating in your life, even when you swear you've already learned the lesson? Maybe you thought it was bad luck, or perhaps even a divine punishment. But what if I told you it's not punishment? It's precision. Yes, you might be reaping old karmas right now, and every uncomfortable situation is actually a secret key the universe is handing you. The problem is, almost no one ever taught you how to read these codes. Worse, they made you believe all of this was some sort of spiritual punishment, and that's where the real misunderstanding lies. Because karma doesn't come to crush you, it comes to awaken you. While most people keep ignoring the signs, in this video you'll see that some synchronicities are so perfectly orchestrated, it's impossible to keep calling them coincidence. Carl Jung once said, "What doesn't come into consciousness manifests as fate." And if the fate you're living today feels too heavy, maybe it's because you still haven't fully understood what it's trying to show you. The good news, once you understand the mechanism, everything changes. You can break the cycle. You can transmute the karma. And the first step starts now. Some people still think synchronicity is just a strange coincidence of fate. But Carl Jung explained long ago that synchronicity is when two seemingly unrelated events occur with such precise timing that ignoring their meaning would be almost naive. It's like thinking about someone and suddenly they call you. Or seeing a blue butterfly every time you face a difficult decision. It's not about luck. It's about connection to something greater. And the more aligned a person is energetically with what they feel inside, the more these coincidences intensify on the outside. Synchronicity isn't a random external event. It's a reflection of your internal vibration, translated into symbolic language by the universe. Imagine synchronicity as the unconscious mind's spiritual GPS. You don't see the satellites, but you feel when you're being guided. It's that accident avoided by seconds, the repeated number on the clock, or the song that answers exactly what you were just thinking. These manifestations don't appear randomly. They show up because the energy of the moment is in complete resonance with your frequency. Jung believed that when you are truly present and aware, the world around you transforms into a mirror, reflecting answers that your conscious mind hasn't yet dared to seek. That's why paying attention to small coincidences can open enormous doors to awareness. A great practice is keeping a synchronicity journal. Write down every repeated number, every strange situation that seems to be trying to tell you something, every word or person that appears at just the right time. In a short time, you'll begin to notice patterns. You'll understand that the universe doesn't roll dice, it writes in code. And those codes manifest with mathematical precision to show you what your rational mind still can't grasp. This is how synchronicity reveals that you're not lost and you're not alone. You're simply beginning to align with the truth hidden behind the visible. When we hear you're reaping what you've sown, the first reaction is usually defensive, right? It feels like life is punishing us for something we did wrong. But take a breath. The truth is much deeper, and yes, far more liberating. On a spiritual level, reaping has nothing to do with punishment. It's about learning. Karma is not a life sentence. It's a precise response to the frequency you've been vibrating, whether consciously or unconsciously. Carl Jung once said that what we don't bring into consciousness returns as fate. In other words, if you don't wake up, the universe repeats the lesson, and it does so with surgical precision. Karma isn't some evil entity watching you with a clipboard. It's a cosmic intelligence that moves through cause and effect. If you vibrate abandonment, you repeat relationships that end the same way. If you carry anger, you attract situations that inflame you even more. And if you plant love, even in the midst of chaos, sooner or later, you'll harvest peace. It's spiritual math. It doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. It's already in motion. The point is, when you understand that nothing you experience is unfair, everything takes on new meaning. Karma stops being a burden and becomes a map. And if your harvest hurts right now, maybe it's just because you're trying to harvest lemons while expecting strawberries. The energy you put out yesterday built the landscape you're walking through today. But here's the amazing part. You can replant right now. With every thought, intention, or action, you change the energy of the spiritual soil around you. Want to change your reality? Start by changing what you emit. Trade complaints for gratitude, guilt for awareness, and victimhood for responsibility. The universe doesn't punish, it teaches. And it teaches by repeating until you finally get the message. Some people go through life saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" As if it were bad luck or some eternal karma that can never be broken. But what most don't realize is that these repetitive patterns, whether it's betrayal, financial scarcity, mysterious illnesses, or loneliness, are actually echoes of something much deeper. They're reflections of old karmas that haven't yet been understood or healed. Carl Jung explained that everything you deny or repress will project itself outward as fate. And that's when synchronicities start flashing like neon signs. Hey, look at this, again. The problem isn't the repetition. The problem is the refusal to learn. The pattern continues only because, on some level, you're still feeding its root. If you're always drawn to people who don't value you, maybe it's because you haven't yet learned to see your own worth clearly. If you're drowning in debt, perhaps your unconscious is trying to protect you from something it believes you don't deserve. Synchronicity steps in like a subtle megaphone, repeating numbers, phrases, situations, and emotions until you start connecting the dots. Like a sequence unfolding before your eyes, showing you that karma isn't punishment, it's a path. Want to start breaking those cycles? First, recognize that they exist. Then, question what within you is feeding them. And here comes the most powerful part. Choose differently. If you always say yes to please others, say no once, and watch how the universe responds. If you always avoid conflict, speak up with respect. That shift is what we call karmic transmutation. And once it begins, the synchronicities change, the signs get lighter, encounters stop being tests and start becoming rewards. And in that turning point, something much deeper begins to reveal itself. Not everything that shines is a sign. And not everything that repeats is a message. One of the biggest confusions people face when stepping into the realm of spirituality is thinking that every coincidence is a synchronicity. But there's a clear difference. And Carl Jung helps us understand it. A synchronicity is loaded with meaning. It triggers something inside you. It feels like it's speaking to you in an intimate way. Mental noise, on the other hand, is just noise. A real sign stirs something within. An empty coincidence either goes unnoticed or turns into paranoia. The key lies in the feeling. A true sign creates expansion. Want an example? Seeing the number 1111 might just be the clock, if you don't feel anything. But if it always shows up when you're thinking about changing your life, or right after you make an important decision, then yes, it might be a synchronicity. Now, if you see a sign with your name on it and suddenly think the universe is telling you to open an ice cream shop, that might just be a funny coincidence. The tip here is simple. Pay attention to how you feel when the event happens. If it touches your intuition, if it feels like a whisper with direction, write it down. If it's just anxiety, observe it, but don't cling to it. A practical way to filter these signs is by using the validation triangle. 1. Does the external event repeat itself? 2. Is it connected to something you're currently experiencing internally? 3. Does it create a feeling of clarity or intuition at the moment it happens? If the answer is yes to all three, you're likely dealing with a synchronicity. Another good practice is distancing yourself from overstimulation, social media, constant digital noise, The 24/7 news cycle, the more noise, the less clarity, the more inner silence, the easier it is to distinguish the real voice of the universe. And when you learn to listen, something starts to shift deeply. Synchronicities aren't just telling you a story, they're offering you an alternative script, a new path, a shortcut out of the loop. But for that to happen, it's not enough to simply observe. You have to apply. You have to act. When you start using these signs as real directions, it's like reaching out to the universe and saying, "I'm ready." Carl Jung believed that the unconscious speaks in symbols. So if these symbols are knocking at your door, it means it's time to heal. And healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means redefining the present. Karma shifts when you change how you perceive what's happening to you. Practically speaking, how can you do that? Start by writing down every synchronicity that catches your attention. Create a code journal and record the emotional context of each one. Then meditate on them. Ask, what is this trying to show me about myself? Use tools like journaling, active visualization, or even the study of archetypes. All practices that help you interpret these signs with more depth. And most importantly, use that information to make different choices. If every time you think about a project a blue butterfly appears, maybe it's time to start. Shifting your vibration isn't some unreachable mystical ritual. It's a series of small conscious choices, replacing hurry with presence, criticism with compassion, resistance with surrender. When you begin to act in alignment with the signs you're receiving, a new frequency settles into your field. And the most magical part is that you start receiving new synchronicities aligned with this higher version of yourself. Because yes, old karmas can be redefined. And when that happens, you don't just change your life, you alter the path for the generations that follow. Now that all of this has been revealed, tell me, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to keep living on autopilot, pretending you didn't understand the signs? Or are you finally going to face your spiritual loop head-on and start breaking out of it, one step at a time? Because here's something no one told you. Your life only changes when you change the way you perceive what's happening to you. As long as you treat synchronicities as random things, you'll keep receiving the same alerts, only louder, more intense, and more painful. So answer in the comments, what sign hit you the hardest? What pattern did you recognize in today's video? What practice are you going to apply today to start breaking the cycle? Write it down. Because when you write, you activate. And when you share, you inspire others who are stuck in the same loop but haven't realized it yet. Remember, sometimes your comment is exactly what someone else needs to wake up. And if this video shook something inside you, if deep down you felt something click, like something started to move within you, don't let that pass. Subscribe to the channel now, turn on notifications, and stick around. Because what's coming in the next videos might be the missing piece to your spiritual puzzle.